Hello and welcome to my recap of Game 2 in the recent Tianyuan title match. It's the Chinese analog to the Japanese Tengen and the Korean Chunwan. In Game 1, you can check out the video that I covered it last week. Miyu won. Game 2, the colors have switched. Can Dang Yifei get his revenge, or will Miyu take the set in 2? Alright, let's take a look at the game. Last time Muting was extremely aggressive. Will he be just as aggressive this time? Well, he starts at 2, 3, 4 points. So maybe not that influential, but it still looks pretty aggressive. Two-space high enclosure is common these days, but it's the aggressive player's opening, I would say. It leaves some weaknesses, and that's exactly what you want to do. Okay, it's a couple of approaches. Black gets kicked in the bottom right. Let's white play this territory style opening. We used to think this was not really that good for white. And AI says it's fine, so territorial players are playing it all the time nowadays because they would have liked to play it anyways, but they'd be worried it's bad. AI is just allowing us to really show our true selves a lot of the time. It's not so much it demanding we do what it says. Okay, the game progressed normally, white pressed, white took an enclosure, and black has now made a pincer position on the top side, attacking these white 3 stones. Now there's a common way to save against the one space high pincer that black does, which is to attach and crosscut. And the reason why this is common is that it's overplay for black to save that 1 stone. So in the game, black sacrifices it with both Ataris and the connect. And you might say, well, why is it overplay? Overplay to save the ones, like, of course, if you save it, you should be able to, like, not die with those, with those 2 stones. They're out, right? They can't be surrounded. White would play Atari here, black has to save, and then the descend here. And the point is that when black has to save these 2 stones, the only way to do that is to chase all the way along on the second line like this. And yeah. This isn't good for black. So that's why it's an overplay to save in the center. It gives white the timing to make this kind of a result. That's not as good as just sacrificing the 1 stone and then having a potential to make the top side yours as black. Okay. Now, white plays here. It's actually a little strange. Whenever I've seen this joseki, white plays this one. And the reason why is that black can play here. The point of this one, now if white will play here, then black can play the hane. So white is in an awkward shape here where they're behind in the liberty race and the pushing fight to the center. They have to figure out how to save those 2 stones somehow, or like save their group somehow, but it's quite awkward. White plays the Kasumi in the game. So I think he had this prepared because when black played the turn, white tenuki'd. This looks like the kind of sequence which a top player would research on the top side. Like, hey, what if I challenge my opponent if I just leave that? And then, hey, how can they play? Maybe I can gain somehow here. If black would like over-aggress against this group on the top side, maybe Dang Yifei has some good plans for how to casually defend it. So Dang Yifei tenukis again. So he's gotten 2 tenukis while this group is getting a little bit weaker. But Muting can't still attack it right away. So he needs to respond somewhere in this area. If he just presses in here, white will be able to connect the stones and run out the group, and then nothing of value is really accomplished. It's hard for black to emphasize the corner or the right side, and the top side, if you continue to build it, it's just letting white get the positions that they want. So black goes to the bottom left. He shoulder hits. He's emphasizing the center in a position where he has all sorts of stones on the 4th line and 6th line and above. And it makes total sense as well that he can start to put pressure on this 1 stone if white wouldn't answer to it. So white very quickly goes to make it a 2-space base. But it's a little slow, actually, to play by territory, to play so many stones on the 3rd line. Of course, it's quickly to go on defense, but slow in the sense of value generation. It just isn't that much territory, isn't that much pressure on black. So black can go do another thing. And he approaches to the bottom left. Wait, jumps out the 1 stone on the bottom, making sure not to get weak there, and black attaches and hanes to save his stone in the corner. It's a common joseki. We've seen it many times before. The reason why white chose this version now is he wanted to press black to save on the side and towards the center. So when black pushes here, then white gets this peep. It's a very nice shape. And then white can play this jump. So white's idea is that if he can swallow this shoulder hitting stone, it'll be as if he got that third line stone for free, which is very good. Right? Black still needs to save his weak group though. If he gets surrounded here and gets under significant pressure, while white just gets valuable stuff on the outside, that wouldn't be good. So black peeps and runs out, trying to make sure that white still has some pressure on the bottom of his own. White continues to swallow that shoulder hitting stone. So at this point, the left side is really quite strong. And that shoulder hitting stone, although its value is lost, Wait has been forced to spend a few moves like answering it, right? So Muting is happy to just let that go and say White is over concentrated on the left side. As long as he can take control of the fight on the bottom side, it's going to work well for Muting. But there's two directions to attack this group from. You can attack it from the left side group or the right side group. And feel free to pause the video and think about how you would try to follow up here as black. In the game, Muting played jump. Jump down to the second line. What's the point? Well, he wants to attack it from the right side group because that group is actually weaker. It's easier to make a cut in that shape, and it's harder to make a life with that shape before the jump, at least. If this black group in the bottom left would become attacked, then it's relatively easy to make life, and it's not even that easy to surround right away. There's hardly any cuts to speak of. So that's why black instead chose to emphasize the bottom right, and the way that he did it by jumping down, it secures some territory, and importantly, it forces this white group to also run somehow to the center. So white attaches and extends, and black can still manage to run and fight with his bottom left group. So at the end of the day, white turns here, black has managed to secure some territory with his bottom right group, and the bottom left group is also similarly stable. White gets Sente and plays detach here. So all three groups are stable for now, and white is going to concern with how he can try to break or reduce the top side for black. This is a common joseki follow-up to the approach to the two-space high enclosure. We see this quite often in modern Go. And here white has two options to descend or to pull back. White chooses descend here. And this leaves more pressure on the corner. So black can choose to handle that in a variety of ways. He can try to press from on top. He can try to save the group. First he plays a Sente move like this. And then it's Muting. So of course, he plays the no-sit. Why not? Why not? White is pretty much obligated to go down here. I mean, if white saves like this, it's okay, but black will play here. In terms of the saving positions, lesser black players may have considered, instead of this nose hit, to play something like a sliding move here, some sort of passive thing, and allow white to continue to just, reduce somehow, use those two stones attack here. Muting is challenging harder. It means that if you just save and this one happens, the shape is much better for black on the top side with how he can save his group, and the white group is much harder to use. There's much less liberties. So white is pretty much forced to turn here and keep the maximum amount of pressure on the corner. And black has the Hane to answer to that pressure. Black could also have chosen to play this kind of thing. It's very aggressive. This is the most forceful way to play for sure. But white turn, it's hard to imagine this kind of fight working out completely cleanly for black. I'm sure everyone in the game was having a lot of fun reading this kind of variation, but ultimately black decided he could only play the Hane here and allow white to split. Actually, white also had an option here to Hane. Then black has this cut and a net here, which leads to a tombstone Tetsuji. This is a technique called the tombstone because at the end here, it looks like the white shape just makes a graveyard shape. It looks pretty dead too, is another reason why we call it the tombstone. However, in this position, most of the time this is not going to be very effective for white because it just has like so few liberties. It's only 4. You can even imagine black playing here and really taking advantage of the liberties right away. But since the corner is still very weak for black, this was fightable for white, but instead he chose to split like this. That gives black the chance to answer to his corner. And now white needs to reduce the outside without much emphasis on what he can do in the corner later, because those two pushes on the second line give black enough of a base to feel relatively healthy. Well, white starts with the extend anyway. Yeah, it's because making a splitting shape is really powerful. And this way, white can leave these stones as something, if white can save these, then white can really put a lot of pressure on the black 3 stones on the left and even the black other group on the right. All of these things can be much more attacked when white has like a very strong and great splitting shape. The problem is that black can play a leaning move here and then attempt to surround. That white group, it can't save by getting 2 eyes, and it can't save by running out. This black prevents it from running out in pretty much any way. So what do you do? This is a really hard kind of position, Muting, his favorite way to win the game is to dare his opponent to do something, to make a fight somehow, and then to read that fight and make sure that it works out well for him. Or if they don't dare, to just accept and have a small gain. So here, if white wouldn't dare to save those 5 stones in any way, then black gets a big territory on the top side. It's a small enough gain, but big enough that muting will feel comfortable with an advantage. White needs to do something. So white answers the dare with the attach. And for those of you who saw my recent recap of the game between Nakamura Sumire and Choi Zhang, you may expect a crosscut, because that's the sort of thing which you can do in a position like this, which causes black a lot of mayhem and makes it hard for them to secure everything that they would like to secure. However, in the game instead, Dang Yifei played the clamp. Crosscut was also fine, but clamp, what it means is that Dang Yifei is specifically eyeing up these black 4 stones. So he's not just getting Aji anywhere, he wants Aji exactly towards those 4 stones so that he can keep them under pressure as he does his operations on the top side. Of course, black can extend up, split the shape, so this makes a one space jump split shape. It's really, really good. White needs to show something now. White needs to show that he has some kind of Tetsuji lined up, some kind of good plan, or it's not really going to work out. So white pushes here, putting a lot of pressure on. It forces black to play this one, and then white had the very nice plan of now playing the clamp, breaking the bamboo shape of black there, and making a potential snapback idea on those 2 stones. If white could push through here and capture those 2, white's almost alive, really. It's just a step or 2 away from being safe. So black didn't want to allow that kind of snapback idea. He chose to hane on the outside. It swallows these 2 stones, so black has already some profit and some captured. And although it allows this Atari in Sente, black has to answer. White cannot save those stones on the inside. If white would, then black's attack by just connecting here will become a splitting attack, both the white group on the top side and the white group on the right side. White would be way too busy to handle all of that. So instead of connecting and saving this inside, white smartly decides that now is the time to trade, allowing black to cut here. Now, I think a lot of people will play an Atari or a Connect, something like this. I think we can learn from Dang Yifei's technique. It's Atari this way, and then Connect. This forces black to spend another move because it was threatening a capture race inside. And even after black spends this one more move, there's still some potential of a capture race inside because this black does not have 2 eyes. And it's pretty short on liberties too. So by Ataring on the inside first and then connecting, he basically achieves what you would want to do in the original position, which is connect there. If we can manage to make it connect, then we split off the shape. We've broken a large amount of black's potential, but he does it with the maximum amount of extra benefit on the top side possible. We didn't really care as much about just the pointer 2 here that we could get by pushing through later as the Aji that we could get on the top side to really cause black problems later in the game. We're going to see that later, by the way. So white's Atari inside and then connecting outside was very nice, very clever, well timed. And it gives white Sente to come back and push here. So white is now going to try to take some initiative against the 2 black somewhat weak groups on the bottom. Black just ignores. Black just hanes here. White has a hane and Sente. Black has to answer with the empty triangle. But white should answer to this area somehow to not get cut and have his shape ruined. So he cuts here. And of course, Black's plan when he Hana'd was he didn't just like get surprised. You empty triangle? What? I didn't know that. And like, of course, Muting knew that this could happen. He was going to extend here, and he wants to try to capture those two stones. He's daring. Wait, hey, can you save him? It might be possible to save him, but if white saves these stones, again, it's like a long-term problem for the white group on the top side. That group it was going to be in some trouble, and even the white group on the bottom side also in some trouble. So it's like it's a bit of an ask to try to save another group on top of all the other stuff. We should probably sacrifice these stones. So Dang Yifei, once he set his heart to sacrificing, he found the best method. Feel free to pause the video and see if you can find it. I thought it was very elegant. He plays extend once first. Normally, we don't extend to 3 stones when we're sacrificing, but Dang Yifei did, because after this he can Hane, and then black pretty much has to cut, or else if black tries to save, then white saving this group is in really good control. So black has to cut, but it does capture the inside. It just means that white can now make this Atari, where black has to answer. If it had been one less, if white had Hana'd right away instead of extending, then any Atari on the outside, black could just answer this way. And it's going to be Sente towards the cut over there. The liberties really, really matter. So by extending one time and then Hana'ing, then he can get this Atari and still squeeze from the outside. So still getting the capture here in Sente, while also getting a little bit more power towards the side. At the cost of only one more stone, basically 2 more points, right? You could argue that black became a little bigger on the side as well, so maybe like more than 2 more points. But this strength is definitely worth it. The strength that white got towards the side and towards the center there, definitely worth it a couple of points. It was a very nice sequence by white, a very nice sacrifice. And it gives him Sente, so he can now do whatever he wants. He chooses to play the invasion here. It's a very sharp move. He plays this one because black responded with the empty triangle, making a whole bunch of diagonal moves. You can often exploit the diagonal move of your opponent if he has a cutting problem by playing at the diagonal away from it. It really makes it very awkward for black to fix, because however he would like try to fix his cutting problems here, it's going to become empty triangles very quickly, right? So it's a good shape move, and it also has a direct threat that white can cut here, and if black connects, then there's a wedge. So that's a direct threat to capture these stones. That's why black answered this way. It fixes that threat for now, but white tries to renew it by descending. Black plays the Hane and the Atari. You may think that this means black plans to spend another move here, but no, black plans to spend his move on the left side. Why? Well, if black would spend his move here, then white's threat was really renewed here. It was serious. This Atari and wedge, then if black plays this Atari, white can play this one. Now if black connects, white can try to save this stone and capture the black inside. So black should probably capture. That's why he originally Atari'd. But it gives white the chance to make this ko, threatening to save his 4 stones, maybe capture those 5 stones in the future, and in general steal the base away from this black group. So you can sort of see at the end of this variation, I don't really know what O2 is doing. Yeah? That's why black played on the left side. But he played on the left side after making these exchanges, because he knew for this white descent to make sense, white needs to now connect to those 2 stones to the corner. White captures like this and makes a Mii connection. If black plays on the first line, white plays third line, vice versa. It was important to play the Hane and Atari first, so that white's connection comes after black gets this stone on the 4th line, and after black gets this stone on the 2nd line as well, both in Sente. So it was a very elegant sequence by Muting to make sure to get the Hane and Atari first, even though he knew he was going to play on the left side the whole time. And finally here, white has still the threat to cut and cause some problem. So black eats the 1 stone, making sure that his group in the bottom right is relatively strong. But it's still definitely chaseable, and also the group in the bottom left, still chaseable. Neither of those groups is solidly alive. Even Waite's group in the middle, also not very alive. Also, Waite's group on the top side, not exactly alive. So this is going to be a middle game where those 4 weak groups are the deciding factors, where those 4 weak groups are going to be what the battles are fought over. White starts with this move. The point is, he wants black to connect so he can peep here, and then steal away a huge amount of the black potential eye shape. Black resists by playing this one. It still leaves a cut in the center. White can play at that point, and then black has no choice but to be cut from this one stone. However, it's threatening to connect on the bottom side. That would be too big for now, so black has forced white to answer that one time, and can continue to protect his cutting point in the center. Even he does it in sente. White needs to answer that to stay connected. White's choice of descending on the second line, by the way, it turned out that it was a little bit suspicious. You'll see later on how things could have gone better if black would block, if white would block here instead. Usually we should block. In this case, he thought black's this one can sometimes become an eye for black, and he wants to keep pressure on that black group. So it is understandable why instead he plays this one to try to keep as much pressure on the black bottom right as possible. But the block would have been better in terms of black's potential in the bottom left and in terms of potential territory as well. Okay, black played here and another sente, and then played the Kasumi here. So you can add a move to almost any of your weak groups, and it's going to be high value on this board. The question is just who's going to be able to make the winning move here? Who's going to be able to make the winning action? White tries to run out his group, trying to surround this black group in the bottom right, and black plays the 2-2 point. This is the very high territory way to try to save your group in the bottom left. If white wants to kill it now, white has to play at the 2-1, but that's already a gain of territory for black, even if white would play there, because black's territory is bigger on the corner and white's territory is smaller, right? So this is daring white, hey, are you ever going to attack me in the bottom left again? Then this is my good exchange. So it's daring white, really, then, to attack the bottom right as hard as he can right now. White peeps like this. Asking black, are you going to capture or are you going to connect? Black chooses connect. Yeah, if you would choose capture instead, then later white can play here and falsify not only the eye on the bottom, but even a potential eye in the center. So Muting thought that this move would be safer, but it leaves behind a cutting point weakness and a capture race potential weakness, basically liberty shortage on the bottom side, where white can play the Atari and then the turn. It was a really good move, actually. It sets up potential for black to be squeezed on the bottom in a way which could be potentially quite painful. Black pushes out here. Actually, black could deny that squeeze in sente like this, but it loses territory. And Muting doesn't like playing sente like this, that he doesn't like strictly have to, because if he could save in the center instead, then this loss of territory was unnecessary, right? So Muting is very reluctant to play his sente exchanges that he doesn't see exactly why they're necessary yet. So he pushes through in the center a few times and jumps. After white makes a cut here, then white's cutting methods of his own would probably be too dangerous as black starts a counterattack. So white chooses now to squeeze on the bottom. So helping defend against any potential counterattack, but also it's just a really big move because this Atari is like, if black answers, then black allows white to link up on the first line and get so much territory on the bottom side. Black doesn't answer in the game. He plays away here because answering, it also makes you very heavy, and it's hard to say that black wouldn't lose control of the game after that when white becomes very strong here and black still has to save his group, and black also has to save his group in the bottom left. Black tries to defend himself as actively as he can by cutting here. So to keep more pressure on the white center and to make sure that the white's cuts here never work. But it means that white can capture here whenever he wants. White is becoming stronger in the center. That's why white can now hane in the corner here, trying to push this black into the center so white can get some kind of double attack where white saves his group in the middle and attacks both groups at once, gaining a lot of value. That's white's plan. Black runs to the left. I think it's really a good instructive move. A lot of people, when they get double attacked, they just try to run straightly and run next to the white group. But that's actually problematic. If you do this kind of move, it's easier for white to relate anything that happens on the right side to this shape than it is to relate the black move that runs as far away from the other black group as possible. So when you're getting double attacked, you want to run your groups away from each other, and when you're the one double attacking, you'd like it if you could push your opponent's weak groups closer to each other, as long as they don't connect. Then your moves are going to be much more active on both attacks. Okay, so when black runs away to the left, then white has little option but to chase the other black group. And he's trying to put that one also into the center so he can get some kind of double attack. Black plays the cut. He has basically no option when white plays this one but to counterattack in the center. I mean, white just claimed the right side. Where else can you go with the black group? White makes a couple of exchanges here. Yeah, he's asking about this about whether black really wants to answer this or not. And actually, black's option to not answer is very serious. Black chose to answer in the game because, as I said in the European Pro Quals recap, it's just something that we as humans can hardly help ourselves from doing. But black could also have played here, and if white would really like follow up completely to capture this bottom left black group, you can easily imagine white losing control of the game, just dying on the top side or losing any power against the right side, that sort of thing. So it's actually not as much of a threat as it seems to make this kind of thing. That's why Dang Yifei plays it now. That's why he's asking, hey, can I get this kind of ko? Because it's really annoying if you don't play here. So muting is like, I'm annoyed. I know maybe I don't have to do this, but I'm gonna do it. And Dang Yifei now has to do something in the center. He chooses to jump here. So his plan is to become strong with these two stones, save them, strong with the top side, and then to leave a lot of pressure on the two black groups. However, black finds a really nice idea here. He plays the Atari once, so that's always good to force your opponent to make two empty triangles. He plays a times Suji, and then he plays the connect. Yeah, so what's he doing? He's trying to put a lot of pressure down on the white group on the bottom and the stones in the center, while leaving all of his weaknesses still there accessible for white. So white can't push through and cut here because his stones in the center are weak right now. And white can't necessarily push through here because his stones on the bottom are also weak and his stones in the center are also weak. There's like a lot of different things that can happen here. White chooses to play a defensive move. So again, this was Miyuting daring. In this case, he was daring that he was on defense. Hey, I have all these weaknesses. Can you attack me? I dare you. Try and attack me. I think I'll be fine. If you don't, like white does here, then my move is very powerful. It gains me a lot of initiative. Now black can play the connect here, and it's Sente trying to capture these white stones. White needs to save them somehow, otherwise black will cut on the bottom and just capture them. White tries to push up through here. So white is still daring, he's still trying, he's putting as much counter pressure on these black three stones in the center as he can. Muting plays the connect. Because he thinks if he connects here and white answers, however, to save these two stones, then he can play the move here. White can't run out. If you run out all the way like this, eventually you'll see you have no option. You can't do this. Black will be able to cleanly surround you. You have no option but to let black cut eventually. So white has to capture here someday. Black will have to capture here, but ultimately all of the black stones are safe. So white said, if all of the black stones are safe, then I might as well sacrifice these two stones right away, because saving these two stones, it doesn't like do anything, right? Then black can play the Atari here, but white has a much better shape this way. You can see he blocks in the center, and because of his shortage of liberty, black can't cut over here either. So white manages to make a much bigger territory in the center this way. Yeah. There was basically nothing that white could do that much better here once he fell back that one step on the top side. Actually, that was all Muting needed to secure a small lead in this game. Just that one step where Dang Yifei is a little cautious, Muting's very, very brave moves managed to show their value as long as he can save himself. Of course, this black group in the bottom right is pretty safe now. It's captured these two stones. It has some other potential sources of eyes. However, the black group in the bottom left is the last remaining target for white. So black saves it. He pushes here, white cuts, it's necessary, and black jumps. So he's saved it by linking it up to the upper left. And it even has a cutting threat on the side. White needs to answer that somehow. So he churns, he ataris here, and he cuts here. But it's a little bit suspicious, this method, this cutting method, because when black atari is here, white can't save that stone. White has to connect back here. If white would try to save like this, then black can cut here. Actually, this is a great method of cutting, where if white does this one, black's cut is sente to try to capture these 5 stones. And white has to play on the outside here. If white would get cut, then the whole thing would be dead. So you can see here that black has actually already gained quite a bit because he had the strength to back up a cut and a capture attempt on the white group on the bottom. So that's why white had to answer directly here. Black chose to answer that one also, which gives white technically the timing to come back here, but white doesn't take it because, to be honest, it's not that big. There's some cutting problems that are relevant to it, but in terms of just pure territory, it's just about 6 points in sente for black and gote for white. I mean, if black plays, he can atari, and if white plays, it would be the running out and connecting. That would be gote, right? So it's a 6-point difference, sente for one side, then that's the equivalent of a 12-point difference. We double the value of moves, which are sente for one side in the endgame. It's the mathematically correct way to count things. Then, yeah, Dang Yifei thinks the 12-point move is not as valuable as trying to steal away the upper left and importantly use the aji of the black dead group on the top side. That group can still race against the black corner or the black top side group. Black answers in the corner, not just to secure his territory, but also to secure his group to make sure that it doesn't become a capture race target. And white needs to turn. Black plays this move because he knows then he can play this one, where if white answers, white has a shortage of liberty problem for later in the endgame. If all the liberties are filled, then eventually there's a atari and cut here. Of course, that isn't going to happen right away, so white is free to tenuki. White plays here. Because when black played this descent, it really trimmed down on all the potential aji in the corner. Then white thought, then fine, if I'm not going to be able to chase your corner anymore, I may as well take the most valuable aji I can towards your top side. So that's why he blocked. Black needs to prevent white from making an I, so to make the capture races better for black. And white played the descend here. You can feel free to try to find the vital point of this capture race. What black plays next is an only move. Black plays throw in. If white would get to play there, then white would gain the liberty on the second line. What am I talking about? White needs to answer this one. It's sente, right? Otherwise black would cut. Then what's happened is that in sente, white has lost his liberty at the stone that he just played. That used to be the liberty of his stone to the right. Now it's gone. It's a very common technique that we use whenever someone has a false eye looking shape. You can throw in to make them spend another stone next to your stone already. And if it has no liberties, then it's a gain for black. Black still needs to continue the capture race. He plays the Atari here. He's trying to belay any shenanigans that white would pull with a ko. So if white does anything, then he can capture the ko once and then let white keep trying. It's the best way to start the capture race for sure for black. White decides it's not time yet to do anything. He can't find anything that's extremely serious. So white plays the big move on the left. Actually, black had some opportunity to take that in sente, but white's last moves, all of them have been sente. So really, it was probably somewhere back here where white played this one that black was supposed to take the sente move on the left side. But muting, he doesn't like taking his sentes, that you can't see exactly why he has to take them. It gave Dang Yifei the chance to take the reverse sente. It's really quite a big move. It's hard for black to match that in value. He plays in the center. It's pretty valuable itself. I mean, black has a lot of potential territory there, and white had a lot of potential territory that's getting reduced. But it isn't really as valuable, and white manages to go to the corner as well. It's another extremely valuable move. This one is even heightened in value after black plays here, because this move put a little bit of pressure on the white topside group, and white alleviates that by running to the corner. Black takes maybe the last big move on the side and plays the hane, so very territorially greedy. It's a good thing to be in the transition to the end game, but it gave white one last chance to come back into the game, to try to trigger something on the top side. It's really the last big area here. This is the moment. White played the jump. Black played Tiger's Mouth. Actually, the way that this turned out, it was the best it could possibly be for black. White can connect here. Black starts fighting the ko, but he doesn't really have to. They're just going to play some ko threats. And then eventually black shows that he doesn't have to play the ko at all. The Atari here is threatening to capture both, not just one, so white needs to connect, and then black can play this one. White plays here. White may have thought that he had some potential for a long ko here, but then black would get an eye. Although black could never chase this white group on the top from the right side, white trying to race this top group against the black upper left is just a doomed venture. It's so many liberties in the upper left, especially considering the shortage of liberty that white has over there. This ko is so inconsequential, it's actually better for white to hane, allow himself to die on the top side, and just get an Atari on those two stones in sente as his only benefit from the top side aji. It could have been better. It could have been better for white if instead of this jump, we had played here. Because now, if black plays the same way, the Tiger's Mouth, white can play here. So skipping the jump entirely and instead aiming at making an I shape, it would be more valuable for white, and it would be more likely that this kind of fighting can succeed, although despite the ko. I mean, the ko is still going to be hard to fight past. If black would instead play here, then white would do this, just as in the game, but there's a difference. The way that black can set up this liberty race, he can Atari here the same way and play this one. Then the difference is black has played this move, the connecting move. In the game, black wanted to play at L18, but here white can fill a liberty and black can't do that because he's shorter move. So this is eventually going to be a seki, where both sides fill all their liberties, and this seki is obviously extremely successful for white. If in the game it was all dead, you know, making it at least mutually alive is a huge win. So this move, it looks like a vital point, especially to a top pro, because it causes a conundrum over the cutting point at M18. And if it had just been this way, it would have been very successful for Dong Yifei. However, the Tiger's Mouth was a great response to make sure that he doesn't spend the move connecting when white has no way to force him to. And if instead we just churned, then actually the black group is going to be in more trouble than in the game. We fill a liberty, it causes more danger if there was not going to be any particular way that we could abuse a cut. It's honestly a pretty small difference, because at the end of the day, what Dong Yifei did by getting to capture those two stones in sente and even taking sente to take the last big end game, it was also pretty good. However, he's now down by about 2 points, and at this level, the top pros tend to play their end games nearly perfectly. So for the rest of the game, it goes on for another like 80 moves. They're just going to play standard endgame, and nobody makes a mistake, really. Not even a small one, as far as I could find. It's got to feel pretty rough for Dong Yifei. He played a really good game this time, but at the end of the day, he loses by 1.5 points after all the end game is said and done, after all the dame are filled. It was a good game. It was a really good game, and I think it shows how Muting's aggressive style, his daring style, can be really powerful. So you can try it in your own game. You can try to dare your opponent to do something, and sometimes you self-combust. At least I do a lot if I do this kind of style. But sometimes you just make it so hard to win for the other guy. So congratulations to Muting. He definitely is showing good form in this match and some great games. I had a lot of fun researching and commenting. I hope you enjoyed too. I'll see you guys again next time. Toodaloo.